Hi everyone. Welcome to Anthropology 339, the Anthropology of Human Rights. I'm so sorry to not be there in person this first week. I'm really looking forward to the class and getting a chance to meet all of you. I am currently in Buenos Aires, Argentina, in the Southern Hemisphere, so hello from the Southern Hemisphere. It is winter down here, which is a little strange. I'm sure you guys are all in your shorts and really hot up there in New Mexico. So I am actually giving a lecture here on human rights and genetics, which is my research area. And I've worked here in Argentina for almost 10 years with local human rights advocacy organizations, primarily with a group called the Grandmothers of the Plaza de Mayo. And I'll definitely tell you guys more about that in person. We're going to have a week where we talk about Argentina and its history, so you'll get to hear more about my research and about the human rights advocacy work of Argentine social groups to create democracy and social change in their country. So, enough about me. I'm going to introduce you briefly to the course this week because I'm not here. You're going to be doing some online work instead. You're going to have this lecture to watch, which you're watching now. You'll have a brief syllabus quiz just to make sure you read the syllabus carefully. You'll have to read the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. There's a link to it. You'll need to click on the link. I have some questions there for you to read along with it. Many of you may have already read it. Please read it again because your field journal assignment this week, which will be your written assignment, which is actually due next Monday, will be about the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. So you need to read it carefully and consider the questions I've placed there. There'll also be a very brief lecture just introducing you to the concept of human rights and how they work in the world. I'll post that one on Thursday. So this class is going to be quite big. There's almost 60 of you, and we have a teaching assistant, Holly Browse, who, if you come on Tuesday to pick up the syllabus, you'll meet her. And I'll have her introduce herself as well at a later point. So she'll be there to help with grading and with any additional questions that you might have over the course of the semester. So the class looks at human rights, which may be a topic you're already familiar with, but specifically from an anthropological perspective. And what I mean by an anthropological perspective, so anthropologists have been human rights advocates, have worked and studied human rights since their inception. They've been involved in the framing of human rights and also now in human rights practices and advocacy. In addition to working as practitioners, anthropologists have also studied human rights as a complex, as a social phenomenon. Human rights isn't just something that people do, but it's also an aspect of social and cultural life. It's a legal system, so it takes shape in particular treaties and laws and in enforcement bodies like interstate human rights tribunals and the International Criminal Court. It also takes the shape of practices like human rights advocacy groups like the Grandmothers of the Plaza de Mayo, the group I work with, people who are doing something that they call human rights. And anthropologists study that, so they don't just advocate or understand human rights as a legal system, but as a social and cultural phenomenon that encompasses law, but also encompasses practices on the ground. So when we're studying human rights, we'll look at violations of human rights, we'll look at areas of insecurity, suffering, and social violence. We'll look at how people respond to those. We'll look at the role of economy and globalization and discrimination that shape our ability to enact rights. We'll also look at the limits of human rights discourse. What does talking in terms of human rights allow us to do, and what does it not allow us to talk about? So we'll read authors who think about, who critique human rights as a global paradigm for social change. And finally, we'll think a little bit about advocacy and how we might participate in that. What kinds of, if we're interested in human rights, if we hope one day to help change the world around us, how can we use human rights language, discourse, and practice as a tool to do that? So that's the kind of the goals of the course, and in the syllabus you'll see specific learning objectives that you'll have in this class. So we'll have readings every week. There are 2 assigned books. One's a novel by Hector Tobar, which is about Guatemala, but a Guatemalan refugee living in Los Angeles at the time of the LA riots. And that we'll read at the very end of the class. It's called The Tattooed Soldier. You can buy it at the bookstore. You can also buy it online used, I think, for $1.50. The other book is an anthropological text by Carolyn Nordstrom. It's called Shadows of War, and she's specifically looking at the background economic factors that underlie war and violence. And we'll be reading that in the second unit of the class. That is available for purchase through the bookstore and Amazon.com, and it's also available as a free ebook through the library. So if you're willing to read it online, you can access it for free through the library. You just have to enter your UNM ID. So it's up to you. I think you can buy it used pretty inexpensively. It's $20 or something like that. But if you're economizing, you feel free to use the free online copy, but you will be expected to read that. In addition to that, there will be PDFs that I post every week that you are expected to read. So this class doesn't use a textbook. It's an upper level class, and you'll be reading the work of anthropologists. It's not condensed or packaged for you, so it is more challenging than what you might be used to. I'll be doing work to give you questions to ask and to help guidepost you through the readings, but be prepared to really sit down and try to make sense of how anthropologists write, what they're writing, and how they're analyzing the world. You're going to get to make those connections yourself rather than having a textbook do it for you. It may be a new kind of reading, and Holly and I are here to help you through that process. Finally, you're probably wondering what about my grade? How is this class going to assess my learning? So there are 4 major assessments in the class. There will be a midterm and a final exam. Together, they're worth, I think 35, let me pull up the syllabus here. They're worth 35% of your final grade. So the midterm will be in October, and the final will be the last week of classes. There'll be online exams. There'll be open book, open note. You can't use the internet, but you can use any of your class notes that you want. They'll include keyword definitions, true, false, short answers, and essays. And there will be no time limit, although the recommended time to take them is 3 hours. In addition to that, probably the thing that you'll notice first, and 20% of your grade, and this is equivalent to your final exam, is your field journal. Every week that you don't have a paper or an exam, you will be writing a field journal. There will be assignments of specific things that you have to do. It'll be either related to the readings or to some kind of research that you need to go out and do in the world. You'll see your first one this week, which is Human Rights in the News. And those will be posted online. There'll be a link to the field journal. You'll need to write those and post them online. You can read other students' field journal entries, and you can comment on them. If you comment on other students' journal entries for every 5 comments that you make, you can get 1 point of extra credit on your final exam, but they need to be substantive comments. So every week we have field journals. Field journals will have specific research and writing assignments that will be posted the week before so that you can begin working on them. They're 250 to 500 words, spell checked, and proofread. So this isn't what you would think of as a normal discussion board posting. It's actually it's something like a weekly mini assignment. So you'll have to stay on top of that, and it's going to be really hard when you begin. Students who've taken my other class and done this weekly writing assignment find it a little bit of an adjustment, but I promise that at the end everyone thanks me because it forces you to stay on top of the material, to do your weekly reading, and you become a better writer. There's nothing like writing every single week to get you really good at thinking through writing. 15% of your grade is classroom participation. You're expected to come to class. I know this first week it's a little ironic since there is no class, but after this you're expected to come to class. There will be 10 randomly scheduled class exercises that will be collected and graded, and these will make up your classroom participation. Your lowest one of these randomly graded exercises will be dropped, which means that you can miss a class for free without any penalty on your grade. If you have to miss a class for health or personal reasons, please send me an email letting me know beforehand. Of course, if something comes up, you can always let me know afterwards, but your attendance at class prepared is expected. Finally, the other element of your assessment will be a group research paper and presentation. So you'll be assigned to groups based on interest areas. That'll happen at the beginning of Unit 2, in the middle of October, right after fall break. So you'll work together with a group to write a paper. I know group work can be challenging, but if you're interested in this social science research or in human rights advocacy, learning to work together to accomplish your goals is really important. So you'll have a group research paper, which will be 15% of your grade, and then you'll create a video podcast. I'm going to teach you how to do that. So that will also be 15% of your grade, and it will cover the same material as your group paper. So one way of communicating your findings will be through written work, and one will be through a video podcast. And we will schedule a screening of those at the end of the semester, and they always turn out really good. So we hope that you'll definitely come to that and invite your friends to see the work you've done in the class and be an opportunity to educate people about different aspects of human rights. So might sound daunting, but you're going to leave this class with really important skills. You're going to understand human rights better. You'll get to really develop your writing skills. You'll learn to read more complex anthropological texts about human rights, and you'll learn an in-depth on a specific research area, and you'll get to learn to make a video podcast, which can be a helpful skill in today's media world. Graduate students, you have the same requirements as the undergrads, except that rather than the final exam, you'll be writing a final research paper, an individual final research paper, and this can come out of your group research work. Graduate students will be assigned to their own groups, so not with undergrads. So that is the class. The weekly schedule is posted here. In the first unit, we'll just go through and talk about anthropology and human rights and how anthropologists study human rights and different aspects that affect how human rights are enacted and practiced. And then in Unit 2, starting in October, we'll look at specific case examples of how human rights are enacted in specific social places. And we'll be looking at topics like war and peace and social and economic rights, migration, discrimination, women's rights, health, and genocide. So I'm really looking forward to the class. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. Don't forget to take the syllabus quiz on Thursday. Come back and watch Thursday's lecture and read the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and start your first field journal. Okay, I'm really looking forward to meeting you guys next Tuesday, Hibben 105 at 2 p.m. Thanks. Bye.